Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'll be talking about Dan Simmons ILIUM. It's a long book. I don't know if you can tell that that's a long book. It is 731 pages. That's long for me. It might not be long for you. I mean, it's not a huge book, but it's big enough. So I'm going to take it. ILIUM. Washington Post Book World says, holy gripping, and I agree. Dan Simmons is one of my favorite authors, and I have had this book sitting in front of me on my bookshelf for a while. There's two of them. ILIUM is the first book in the series, and then Olympos is number 2. That's what I'm going to read next, because I feel like I need to. The nice thing about this book is at the back of it, it does have a list of characters. And if I am able to describe what happens in this book in a way that does not completely lose you, I'm doing pretty good, because there's a lot going on here. And I think of it in, let's say, 3 parts. 3 separate stories that are occurring and eventually kind of come together. And I'm going to look at the back of the book so I can remember characters' names and just keep it all together. All right, ILIUM. This is the one part of it is about the Iliad, the battle between the Greeks and the Trojans. And this is Achilles, Hector, Battle of Troy. This is happening, I don't think real time. No, I don't think real time, but it's happening. No, it's definitely not happening real time. Okay, that's the first. I'm already worried that I don't remember everything. All right, so we have that storyline, the Iliad storyline, the Battle of Troy. Then we also have this storyline on Earth in the future. This is after something's happened. There's been some kind of virus, some kind of pandemic. Humans have died off. These things called post-humans have left. And they've left behind what may be 1 million, but it's probably less, a lot less, 1 million people who will live in 20-year increments, and then every 20 years be not rebuilt, regenerated, kind of fixed up for 5 times. And then in their 100th year, they go up into the cloud. There's these 2 rings that are around Earth, and those 2 rings are where they go. It's kind of like their heaven. And this is apparently where the post-humans are. And then you have the Moravaks. Moravaks are autonomous, sentient, biomechanical organisms seeded throughout the outer solar system by humans during the Lost Age. The Lost Age is kind of the time period that we're living in and a little bit beyond. So Moravaks are these kind of, they're self-aware and evolved biomechanical organisms. Just copy what they said. One of our main ones, Monmouth, he works on one of Jupiter's moons, Europa. Orpheus of Io works on another moon, and he is a big one. He's a big, hefty, works in the vacuum of space, where Monmouth works underwater. Deep underwater. And there are other ones too, under Moravaks. Included in the Troy War is also gods of Olympos. We're talking Zeus, Hera, Athena, Ares, Apollo, Aphrodite, Hephaestus, Thetis. Yeah. And we're following, I would say the main characters are, the main characters are Thomas Hockenberry. He is a PhD in classical studies. And what happened, God, even thinking about this, like, I'm realizing how complex it's going to be. In the future, I think on Earth, there's basically a recreation of the Iliad, the Trojan War. And I guess they're post-humans. Somebody, I guess the gods, which I'm not convinced are not the post-humans. The gods, Zeus and his offspring, have brought in, they've used DNA and bone fragments or body part, whatever, from old academics, and they rebuilt them, humans, to witness what's happening in the Trojan War. These are experts on the Trojan War, and they're really supposed to report back to their muses, who will report to the gods about how close what's going on is tracking with Iliad, Homer's Iliad, and what the deviations are. And one of the main guys, there's two important ones, but the really most important one is Thomas Hockenberry. And the other one is Keith Nightenhelzer, but he's not one of our main characters. For the Moravaks, the main Moravak, well, there's two. I guess the main one's Monmouth. He's short and is the one that basically integrated into a submarine on one of the moons of Jupiter, Europa. And Orphu of Io. He's an 8-ton, 6-meter long, crab-shaped, heavy, armored, hardvac Moravak who works in the sulfurous Taurus of Io. He's a Proust enthusiast. Proust? Mamet loves Shakespeare. So these guys are in the future. The Trojan War is in the future. It's based off of the past. Now, let me just say, this is where I get a little confused. I got the feeling Olympus is actually Olympus Mons, a volcanic mountain on Mars. And that's where the gods stay. And they can basically teleport between the two. Here's what I get confused by. There's a chapter called 1200 BC Indiana. I don't know if some of our characters are moving through time or if these areas on Earth were just created to look like older areas of Earth. Because it seems like, I don't know. I didn't get a feeling for the time. It might be it actually is probably a different Earth. And it may be, this might be it. It may be that the Earth where the Iliad is taking place is an alternate Earth. And that's where quantum leaping, the quantum QTing to Earth to watch what the humans are doing in the Trojan War. I think that's probably what it is. So on one of the Earth's futures where humans have kind of died off, there are some that are being maintained by post-humans, we think. Post-humans have left Earth. Some of them have gone to Mars. And the gods that are located on Mars are entertained by what's happening in Troy. But I don't think it's not the current place. It's definitely not the current place, because the current Earth, the Mediterranean, was the Earth, the main Earth that we're a part of in this book. The Mediterranean is empty. And so of course, because they use the Mediterranean in this book, it must be a different Earth. And we also see Odysseus, and apparently he's from a different Trojan War. Okay, so what are we looking at here? There's 3 different things going on. One, we have the humans, which are old style humans. These are the ones that are kind of modified by the post-humans, and they live in 20-year increments, and they have these things called voynix, which are like animals that transport them around. They live near these little fax stations that move them around. They don't really walk anywhere. They don't do anything for themselves. They have servitors, which are like robots that do everything for them, and they've really forgotten everything. They have these ideas of what is going on in their lives, and but really they're kind of ignorant, lazy humans, and they have ideas of what they think have happened. Well, the most important, I think, of these is Savi. She's called the Wandering Jew, and she's the only old-style human not gathered up in the final facts 1,400 years ago. She goes into stasis every couple hundred years and then sleeps for a long time and comes back out and is trying to figure out something. Savi is an older woman. She gets older because she is not going to the infirmary to be every 20 years to be rebuilt. And she also doesn't fax between different locations. She kind of lives off the grid, and she's kind of a legend. She picks up these other old style humans and really starts to teach them that there's all this other stuff going on. What's going on is what happened to the post-humans is not what they expected. They watch the Trojan War on these bands they put across their eyes, but I think it's probably a Trojan War from another Earth, because at some point these wormholes were opened that allowed things to cross between different realities, different metaverses, universes. At the same time, you have all these biomechanical beings, the Morvax, that are out beyond the asteroid belt, and they've lost contact with Earth, and they've just kind of doing their thing, and they've evolved, and they don't need to go back and do anything, but they've found out that there's this quantum disturbance on Mars, and there's so many holes being punched through the fabric of the universe that it threatens the entire solar system. So they're going to go and check out what this is and do something about it, because it threatens their existence too. Well, they get to Mars, some things happen, and they find out that on Mars are the gods from Olympios, but they're not like, they're the gods, but they're also advanced. My personal feeling is they've assumed those roles, and they use Mars as Olympus, but they can go back to wherever Troy is happening and kind of bear down on the humans and toy with them. And then you have the humans. Most importantly, Achilles, Odysseus, and Hector. And you have the Skoloks, which are the scholarly experts, specifically Thomas Hockenberry. The gods apparently don't know the history of the Iliad. I don't understand why. And at some point, Thomas Hockenberry is enlisted to do something huge, which is going to change the course of the Trojan War in that reality forever. And keep in mind, he knows what's supposed to happen, so he can kind of try to counteract it. That's it. Like, I don't want to say anything else. It's a thick 731 page book, and the next one, Olympios, the number 2 in the group. The books looks even thicker, but I don't know if it is. So that's what I'm going to read next. This was a long read. It took me a little while, and the next one's probably going to take me a little while longer, but I am really interested in what happens. There's also a lot of stuff that happened in the rings around Earth when Savi and a couple of the old style humans find their way up to the rings looking for the post-humans, and there is a monster named Caliban involved in some way. I've figured out that I really can't pronounce Greek names well, and it made me want to read Iliad and read the Odyssey again. I don't even know if I've ever read the Iliad. At least the Odyssey. Just there's so many references in this that I just don't remember much from my high school days, but I really enjoyed it. Dan Simmons is awesome. It's one of those books where you don't know where you're going when you start it, unless you've, I guess, read ahead or read the back of it. But it's fun to discover because I mean, even now, you can kind of tell from when I was describing what happened that there are still questions I have, and maybe those will be answered in the next book. I don't know. But I really liked it. So check it out. Dan Simmons ILIUM. Great book. And I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.
I am Achilles on a mountain.